Now you might think that this sounds like a clickbait and everybody doesn't earn that much amount of money. So first of all, this is not a clickbait. A lot of folks around me are earning this much amount of money. So now you might say that Sahil, I'm earning around 50 to 20 lakhs or maybe less, and my company is also not very good. I don't get a lot of interview calls and things like that. So the first round that we have is online screening round, which is nothing but a online coding round. Once you clear that, then there are three technical rounds. First one is DSA round, second one is LLD or machine coding round, algo prep sheet, you have Shiver sheet, you have Farah sheet. Now again the main thing that comes up here is how smartly you prepare for it, where we have two things. One is what is the timeline you should follow and what are the best resources out there which you should follow. So first talking about the timeline, since I mentioned that for the first 2 months you will only focus on DSA, and once you are okay with DSA, now you have to parallelly also do the LLD gym where you have to study about LLD. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, and in this video we're gonna talk about what is the roadmap to crack SD2 interviews and get a job of around 70 lakh rupees. Now you might think that this sounds like a clickbait and everybody doesn't earn that much amount of money. So first of all, this is not a clickbait. A lot of folks around me are earning this much amount of money, and market is really good. Companies are giving this much amount of money. The only thing that matters is how much interview preparation you have. So now you might say that Sahil, I'm earning around 50 to 20 lakhs or maybe less, and my company is also not very good. I don't get a lot of interview calls and things like that. But the thing is, you will definitely get some chance. And once you get the interview, it doesn't matter which company you are from, what you are earning. What matters is your prep. If you can beat someone who is maybe from a very good company but your prep is more than him, you will get the offer, trust me. So what you have to do is you have to convert that one chance and prepare for that. Now let's just not waste a lot of time and let's see the roadmap. Now the first thing that comes up is what are the different rounds we have for SD2 interviews. So the first round that we have is online screening round, which is nothing but a online coding round. Once you clear that, then there are three technical rounds. First one is DSA round, second one is LLD or machine coding round, and third one is HLD round. And finally, the fourth one is managerial plus values round. Now let's just come to the main round, that is DSA round, data structures and algorithm. And a lot of folks ask me this question that I solved a lot of questions in college but I don't remember anything. Will I have to start fresh and things like that? The disappointing answer is yes, you will have to do 500 to 600 questions again from Neetcode to crack a good company which gives you around 60 to 70 lakh. So now that you have to do a lot of hard work, the main thing that comes up is how do you do it smartly. So there are two things to it: what resources you should follow, what are the best resources out there, and second thing is what timeline you should follow. Okay, so first thing is you have 6 months, and 6 months contain around 180 days, and in this 180 days you need to solve around 500 questions, so it comes around 3 questions per day. Okay, so you have to treat it like a coding gym which you have to go daily and solve 3 questions. Now coming to what resources. So there are tons of sheet in market, but I would suggest you to solve these two. So the first sheet is Neetcode 150 questions. Okay, this is one of the most popular sheets out there. And why is it popular? Because it has questions of all the concepts, and the main thing is that every question is different from other. So if you solve these 150 questions, you will be able to brush up your concepts, and also you will have a lot of context on what are the different approaches and different patterns each of these questions follow. One thing I would like to mention is that solve this sheet for the first 2 months, and for this first 2 months don't do anything else. Don't do any LLD, don't do any HLD, just focus on this sheet, and you should know everything about this sheet. Even if someone wakes you up from sleep and asks you some question about it, you should be able to solve it. So once you have solved this sheet by heart, you will definitely be able to clear companies which gives around 30-35 lakhs because they usually ask questions which are very famous and are easier. Okay, but when you're targeting a company which gives around 60-70 lakh, company like Google, Uber, Microsoft, they ask you very difficult questions because competition is more. So for that, you definitely need to solve another sheet after this. So now you have multiple sheets in market. You have Algo Prep sheet, you have Striver sheet, you have Faraz sheet. So my personal favorite is Faraz one, because a lot of questions I've seen in these big companies were from there. Okay, and I also feel the difficulty of questions is good in that sheet. And another tip I have over here is just solve the harder questions. The questions that you see and you know the answer, just skip them. Okay, they will not help you. They might help you initially when you are preparing for the first 2 months to increase your speed, but after 2 months when you're solving Farah sheet, never solve a question which you have the answer in the mind, because in interview you will never see such questions. You're going to see difficult ones only. So another strategy that you can follow over here is that once you solve those 450 questions, there will be like 100 to 150 questions which you will not be able to solve in first attempt. Okay, so what you have to do is you have to mark those questions, resolve them, and again when you will try to solve them, you will not be able to solve them. Like, you will not be able to solve 50 out of those 150. Then you need to again solve them. You have to do it again and again till you know all the questions. And also, whenever you are not able to solve one question, just write a short note. Like, when you see the answer of that question, write a short note why you were not able to solve it. What part of the question was there which you are not able to identify? This helps me a lot. So I have another tip. I hope I'm not boring you with a lot of tips, but this one is important. So most of the questions I've seen in this bigger companies are around DP, greedy, or graph. Okay, and what I feel is graph can be practiced, and you can do well in them. And similar for DP, if there are like 50-60 questions, there are like 20-30 different questions which you need to do, and you will be able to do DP until and unless it's a very hard bottom up DP. But you'll mostly able to do it in the interview. They won't ask you like a competitive question, but where you will get stuck is, and the topic that is mostly ignored is the greedy one. So these questions are most difficult to crack in interview, because you need to get that intuition. There is no basic approach that you have to follow. They are more logical, so just practice them a lot. And greedy also involves concepts like binary search and all. Just practice them a lot. So now coming to the second round, that is LLD, low level design. So I remember, like, when I started preparing 1 year back, I was not aware what LLD is. It was not like in my company there were no solid principles, there were no design patterns. It was more of like I was unaware. I never knew that these are the design patterns we are following. There are some solid principles used. So I was just unaware. And if you are in the same state, there is no need to worry. Now again, the main thing that comes up here is how smartly you prepare for it, where we have two things. One is what is the timeline you should follow, and what are the best resources out there which you should follow. So first, talking about the timeline, since I mentioned that for the first 2 months you will only focus on DSA, and once you are okay with DSA, now you have to parallelly also do the LLD gym, where you have to study about LLD. Now, good thing about LLD is that there are not tons of questions like DSA. You don't need to do 500-600 questions to learn LLD. There are limited set of questions, around 20 to 25 questions, and if you master them, I am 100% sure what company you're giving round of, it doesn't matter, you will see the same question. So it becomes very easy, right? So now comes what are the different resources you have to follow, and what are the different topics you have to learn for LLD. So if you know nothing about LLD, first thing you need to do is you need to brush up your OOPS concept. You should know about classes, abstract classes, interface, dynamic binding, static binding, and things like that. Just go through some playlist on YouTube. The one I used to watch was of Saurabh Shukla in my college days, which is a good playlist for C++. And if you're doing it in Java, I am pretty sure there might be tons of playlists which you can watch just to brush up the basics of OOPS concept. I'm pretty sure you will be able to do it within 1-2 days. Now you need to pick up another topic, that is solid principles. So what are solid principles? Solid principles you can consider, suppose you're building a house, right? So it should have a strong foundation. Okay, there should be certain things that needs to be followed, then only the house should be strong. Similar, you can imagine solid principles. If you don't apply solid principles, then your code extensibility will reduce a lot and code will be a lot more messier. So they have designed some principle which every project uses, so you need to learn about them. So you can watch this playlist that is coming over here to learn about this. And again, you will be able to see the videos, I think, within one day. But what I would suggest, with videos, open ChatGPT and try to understand like why they are used, okay, with the help of examples. That will actually, tell you that why they are used. So you have to pick up different example from different code bases from ChatGPT, and then only you will have a grasp of it. Now coming to the third topic that you need to learn is design patterns. Okay, now the main thing that comes up is, why do we need design patterns, what are they, and things like that. So we'll just understand with the very basic example that, suppose you have a coffee machine or a pizza company. Okay, there are tons of pizza there, pizza cheese burst, pizza with onion, and there could be like 10,000 varieties, right? And in code, if you imagine, you have to implement a code for them where you have to just make pizza ordering app. So you'll need to have these tons of pizzas, and multiple ingredients can be added in future. So how do you write extensible code? So people saw this problem, and they came up with their design pattern. If you follow this particular design pattern, you will be able to write a clean code for this problem, and it will be extensible as well. So like this, there were tons of design patterns created. Now the main thing is, you don't need to learn every design pattern. Okay, you need to learn only these 7 patterns. So you need to know factory design pattern, abstract factory design pattern, strategy design pattern, observer design pattern, decorator design pattern, builder design pattern, and if there's any other pattern, I'll add it over here. So there are like 6 to 7 patterns which you should definitely know, and you don't need to know other different patterns. Now again, the question comes, how do you learn these patterns? So one obvious way is to watch this YouTube playlist, but I would still suggest, this is not the best option over here. What I followed, after watching the playlist, I had to watch other videos. Then I realized videos are not working. So finally, I'm not a book reader, but I have to read this book, Head First Design Pattern. So trust me, this is one of the best books I've ever read, which taught me something. Okay, so they have this interesting way of teaching, and you will love it. So you don't need to read whole of this book. The design patterns that I mentioned, the 7 design patterns, you only need to read those. And once you read them, you will know in and out why each design pattern is used, because these videos does explain how these design patterns are used, but why they came into picture. So as I explained for the pizza problem, what was the problem, and then came a solution, I just explained with words. They explained with different code examples, this was the problem, then this was the future requirement, and we wrote a bad code. Then finally you have to change everything, and finally we come up with this good design pattern. So I think this is the best resource you can learn design patterns from. So I think you will be able to complete all this theory, including OOPS, then solid principles, design patterns, within 1.5 to 2 weeks if you are continuously studying. Then comes the main thing, that is creating the actual app. What do I mean by app? This is like Java app or C++ app, which we need to create and follow these design patterns, OOPS principle, and come up with a good project. So now the thing is, you need to solve these 15 questions, and once you're done with these 15 questions, your LLD is complete. But the thing is, each question will take around 2 days. So you'll have to give your complete weekend for next 3 months to prepare LLD. First 2 months you did DSA, then you started doing another Farah sheet, and parallelly on weekends started doing LLD. Obviously, cracking a 60 to 70 lakh company within 6 months. Now the thing is, when you're solving one question, okay, you have to solve it end to end. What do I mean by end to end? You have to draw the class diagrams and also end to end write code. For 15, try you write code for at least 7 to 8. Okay, because In coding round, you will be expected to write end-to-end code, and that coding round, the LLD round, is also called machine coding round, where interviewer expects a running code and also expects these class diagrams. So now comes the question that, what are the best resources? So if you do it in C++, then there's this YouTuber, Kirti Paswani, I think. She teaches well. And if you are doing it in Java, then we have Concept Encoding channel. So I think these two are the best resources out there. But to be honest, I didn't follow any of them. I did watch their one or two videos and I found them very boring. Okay, LLD questions, if someone is making you solve, they are really boring. But that might not, match for you. You might like it. So what approach I followed was I watched one or two videos of each channel, all the channels out there. Okay, and came up with a generic template of mine. For every question, I'll follow that generic template, like noting down functional, non-functional requirements, then making the smallest entities, then making the helper class, and then making the controllers and things like that. Okay, and follow some design patterns. I identified, these design patterns can be applied in some situations. So once I knew all of this, every weekend I sat down, and on each weekend I opened ChatGPT. I had a problem, I watched one or two video, I saw their approaches, then I came up with my best approach using ChatGPT and wrote the whole code. Okay, and I think this is the best way to learn. Don't blindly follow any YouTuber. Design patterns are very subjective. LLD is very subjective. Everybody has their own way, and whatever way you are following, you need to justify that. Now, once you have dedicated all your weekends within 6 months for LLD, then you also need to prepare HLD within this 6 months. Okay, this might not look feasible with job and all, but I feel only the people who do hard work achieve those things. So if you have made the decision to crack such company, you do need to work hard, because people around you who are cracking such companies will be working that hard. Okay, now comes the third round, that is HLD round, high level design round. Okay, this is the most fun round, I feel. Okay, this is the most interesting one out of all of them, because it covers all concepts of computer science. When you learn about it, when you read about HLD, you get to know a lot of things which you are not aware of, but as a computer science engineer you should know them. So I always found this one very interesting. So in this one, you are usually asked to design WhatsApp, Facebook, and things like that. Okay, by design they ask you the architecture of them. Okay, so for this one you should know the basics of OS, DBMS, and then you should know about load balancers, you should know about message queues, you should know about caches, and tons of things. Okay, data replication, and there are the list is like endless. Okay, and this might sound very overwhelming, but if you follow this what I'm telling, then it wouldn't be very overwhelming. So the mistake that I did while preparing for it, I watched like hundreds of videos and then I knew nothing. Okay, so the first thing that you need to follow is make notes. Okay, whatever you are watching, you have to make notes, because this is a very theoretical subject, and if you don't make notes, you'll read it one day and forget about it on the next day. Now the main thing is where to read all this theory from. So follow this playlist. It has 5 to 10 minutes video. Okay, go through all of them, and it will take around 2 days to get a gist of it. After this you will know basics of everything. You will at least remember all the words that we have. I will not recommend to deep dive a lot while reading the theory and while watching this video. Just watch the videos and see the terms that they are using and get a gist of it. Now once you have watched this theory, you need to solve these 15 questions. Okay, once you have done these 15 questions, your HLD is done. But the main question is, how do you solve these questions? Okay, now like everybody else, I thought YouTube is the best resource. I went to YouTube and I found these videos very boring. Okay, it's like history class where they are teaching you concepts and you feel very sleepy and you don't understand anything. You understand things but you forget, and most of them are very boring. So I tried following many channels. Like one of the good channels if you just want to read from YouTube is Gaurav channel. Okay, you can watch it. It's good, but personally not for me. I don't like reading, watching HLD from videos. So if you also feel the same after doing the mistake, then what you have to do is you have to do this Grokking course. Okay, now you don't need to buy a 15,000 course. You can download a PDF to read about it. This is one of the good resources that you can follow, and you will find most of the questions that I listed in this book. Okay, and it's quite interesting. And when you read this, okay, when you read this book, you should also have a chat GPT window open. So what usually happens in interview, you read about the concept that load balancer will be applied here, and you read everything and everything feels okay. But when you go to the interview, then he does why in everything. Okay, he says, why this, why that. And if you don't know the whys, your HLD will never be good. And in these companies, they always go into whys of everything. So while you're reading about that, you need to know the alternative approaches and see why this approach has been chosen for specific thing. Giving you a very basic example, there are tons of databases. Some are SQL type, some are no SQL type. Okay, and interview usually asks you like, which database should you use. So you have tons of options. Now, what you need to do in the interview is you need to list down advantages and disadvantages of each one of them, and then decide which is the best one. Okay, now databases is just one thing. There are tons of things in HLD which you need to compare in the interview itself and tell which is the best thing. So in HLD there is no definite correct answer. It's more about comparison, which you show your where you show your knowledge to the interviewer and come up with the best solution. Is this Grokking thing the best thing in the market? I would argue, because LX XU books is the thing which I like. It has two parts, LX XU1 and LX XU2. I don't know what do we pronounce, it's LXU or what. Okay, so these two books are very simple and are amazing. They have explained the concepts from scratch. So I read first Grokking course and then these books, and then I realized these books are better. So if you're reading from books, then this is the best resource, and if you're watching videos, then Gaurav's course is the best course. HED is something which I completed in last 3 weeks, and the main thing that helped me was the notes. Okay, I created one-pager notes that we do usually in college or school exams, and whenever I went to the HLD interview, I just learned all the differentiations, okay, all the examples. And when I went to the interview, I compared everything and told my opinion that this can be used, and at the same time I made sure that interviewer is aligned with that. So this is what HLD is all about, and you will be able to clear any interview if you have made good notes. Now last round is HM round, and it's mostly managerial questions, but sometimes technical as well. So if you have prepared for first 3 tech rounds, you will be able to answer most of them. Apart from that, you can also try to know what product manager is building, so that you have some idea of technologies and all. Just read like 5 to 10 questions about it, and also while answering managerial questions, use star method. So these are the only advices for managerial round. Please subscribe my channel and press the bell icon.